Hello, everyone, and welcome to Heart Healing Conversations with Dawn and Janna. Every week, we pull back the curtain on the things that weigh us down and explore the tools that lift us up. From vulnerable stories to practical wisdom, we're diving deep into what it means to live wholeheartedly. Hey, Janna, welcome.
Hello, how are you this week?
I'm good. As we are kind of getting into February, this month, technically, everybody thinks about love and Valentine's Day. And for some of us, it's a happy time, and others, it's not a very happy time because our relationships are not what we hope them to be, or we've had things that have happened in the past that have broken our heart. And I know for me personally, one of the hardest things I went through in my life was my divorce.
Hmm.
And it really affected all my relationships moving forward.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I guess I too have gone through divorce. Um, and I know on a personal level, especially for like Valentine's Day, we're supposed to be happy and oh, we're getting flowers and candies, and it just wasn't that. It was more of a let's just skip past this day. I don't want it to even exist. I guess I can go even a little deeper on that with not just divorce, but one of my long-term relationships that I was in, his birthday was the day after Valentine's Day, and I know we had kind of a really rough relationship. So when we did end that relationship, that was still a sore topic. It was like, I can't do it. It's too close to his birthday. And then it further got even worse when he was killed in a car accident. Then it became oh, we can't talk about this day at all because, it is love and I can't show that kind of love and happiness because it's not happy to me. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that feeling of I can't be happy because something bad did happen, like
Mhm.
I said, around those times of years or anything like that. But I think using the tools that we have learned with the program is we learn that we don't have to make it a happy day, but we can also move forward with it being just a day. I mean, we can celebrate it however we choose, even if we choose not to celebrate.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think for many years I struggled because I didn't know how to navigate the way that my heart felt, you know, after my divorce. And as I look back, I realized that the biggest reason why my marriage did not survive is because I walked into it without the tools to navigate a healthy relationship because I'd come out of a very dysfunctional relationship and I was carrying a lot of that pain. And I didn't realize that I was carrying the pain, but it came out in different ways in my marriage. And it wasn't helpful in, my style of communication, in getting through difficult times. And we ended up in divorce, and I was very angry about that, thinking, well, my husband just gave up. And I later realized after, learning some new tools that I had carried all that baggage from the previous relationship and relationships, right? Because things occur in so many different relationships in our life, whether it's romantic or friendships. We carry those into our future.
Way
It's
too easily.
Yeah, it's like, we think about that first love in our life, how open-hearted we are, we're so excited and we put our whole heart into the relationship and then we get hurt. And what happens?
Eventually, I know personally, I completely guarded myself off. That first
Mhm.
love was like none other. And that was actually right before I moved away to go to college. And so there was a lot of life changes in that. And so I literally went probably a year before I would even talk to another guy. I was like,
Mhm.
nope, I don't want anything to do with you. You're all evil. Um, but again, on terms of like the divorce situation, we get so stuck with those unmet hopes, expectations, and stuff that we won't communicate, like you mentioned. if he's not communicating, you're not communicating. It's such an easy place to get so many misunderstandings and more unmet feelings, hopes, expectations, and it just compounds. And none of us have been taught the skills of how to fix that, if you want to call it fixing it. I mean, literally, it just takes two people who want it to work and willing to make it work means you're going to do whatever it takes to help each other. Like, hey, I'm going to learn your love language, you're going to learn my love language. We're going to meet in the middle. We're going to make sure that we can get through this. And I think unfortunately in our society today we've kind of lost touch with that. We've gone more to a nope, it doesn't work for me. I'm out. I'll figure out something else. I'll find something better. And finding that something better, we're still pulling all of that we didn't manage through on the first relationship into the next, into the next. Like you said, it just becomes a downward spiral.
Yeah, I mean, we really have to step into our own healing if we want to have a relationship that's going to, bring us the joy that we want in our life, that's going to bring us connection, that's going to have good communication without being willing to look at our past and the things that we're carrying forward in our
Mm-hmm.
present and towards our future. We're kind of setting ourselves up for failure. And the hard thing is most of us have these, like you said, hopes, dreams, and expectations for our relationships. Mine was, oh, the little white picket fence with the kids and the dogs and the nice cars and stuff. And all of a sudden, when I'm divorced, I felt like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did this happen? How could I have not been a good enough wife? And, I beat myself up, and it was hard for me to think about moving forward and trying again with any type of relationship because I did feel like such a failure in my life. Can you relate to that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not even so much just the self-doubt and the self-anger that we put on ourselves, but then when we try to have the conversation with family or friends like, "Hey, this didn't work out, we're getting divorced," then it kind
Mhm.
of becomes a blame game too. Like, "Well, what did you do?" Or "What didn't you do?" Like, "Why did this happen?" And you further close down to even feeling safe talking to them about the situation, and you don't have any kind of a place to vent or hold a conversation about how you feel in any way.
Mhm.
So again, it just continues to compound and compound until you get to that low point of, I have to change something. I'm tired of feeling this way. And
Mhm.
sometimes it really does take getting to that lowest point before we will actually say, okay, I am the common denominator here in all of these relationships. Like, I'm the only thing that's common in here anymore. I have to take that responsibility and change something in me so that
Mhm.
I am not taking any more of this forward. And sometimes I know I've heard a lot from a couple of clients. Well, you want me to start healing. How do I know that this is going to actually heal me? Well, I'm not some magical, person that can give you a potion that it's going to fix it and guarantee you're going to be happy the rest of your life. I have tools to help you process right now, find some sort of joy, and keep working towards finding the rest of your joy to give you that sense of purpose and feeling like life is going to be okay, and I can move forward doing something else. All of us have different things that we like in life. So I can't tell you, hey, I love to go for a walk outside in nature and that's where I find, peace and happiness and joy. I can't expect you to do that and get the same kind of joy I get out of it. You might want to go to the library and sit and read books and have a cup of coffee. All of us are different. So it's so important to understand that, you know, it is work on your part to get the healing and to work through the relationships too.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think especially in society these days, the last 20 years or so, like we're an instant gratification society, but that's not how things work. Even having a great relationship, if you both step in and you've healed things from your past that are causing you pain, it still requires work. It's not instant gratification. After the first few months, the butterflies and all that just really happy stuff starts to wear off because you start seeing each other for who you really are. And that's a good thing. But it's not always easy because when we first show up in a relationship, we show like the best version of ourselves, right? I mean, that is so normal. We all do it. And then as time goes on, we see all those warts and stuff, and we don't necessarily like them. So, how do we navigate that? And if we've come into the relationship with an unhealed heart and baggage from, the last relationship all the way back to the first relationship we ever had, then we're definitely, not able to navigate the communication well. We're holding things back, our heart's partially closed. And, I found myself for most of my life in that space.
Mhm.
And it's a difficult place to be.
It is a very difficult place to be. I guess there's probably a lot of listeners that can resonate with both of our stories in feeling so closed off and so hurt, and like I shouldn't be the one that has to do the extra work in this because, I've gone through all these bad things and I
Mhm.
just don't deserve any of that anymore. But truly, it is about finding the joy and happiness in ourself and being able to portray it to our new partner
Mhm.
so that we can hold those hard conversations and feel that it's safe to hold those conversations. It's not going to end in, oh my gosh, we're getting divorced because we don't agree. It's a, hey, I know where I'm coming from. I know where you're coming from. We might have an argument, but we can still come to some sort of an agreement here. We don't have to end it anymore because we recognize that we're allowed to be hurt, but we can also feel heard and move
Mhm.
forward.
Yeah, I think as you were talking, one thing that came up for me was it's so important to take ownership,
Mm,
be accountable for our actions. And just because we showed up in a way that we're not proud of and we have regrets doesn't mean we're a bad person. It just means we were having some kind of response, reaction in the moment. And an apology goes a long ways if it's genuine. I apologize, that yesterday I just snapped at you. If we can relate to our partner and talk to them that way and apologize and show them like we're really trying to show up as the best version of ourselves, I think it goes a long ways.
absolutely. Like you mentioned, reactivity again. I know we've talked about that when we are angry, especially we're responding, not thinking. We're just
Mhm.
responding. And a lot of times it's reactive and yelling, screaming, not the best situation. But if we can take ownership for that so easily with, I'm sorry I reacted this way, or I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings for this, it has a way of taking that deeper sense of ownership, like, I'm sorry I made you feel this way. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I think something that's really important to talk about too, that you've kind of brought up is, how we show up in communication with our partner. Like oftentimes one partner, the other one says, I just really don't feel safe talking about something, or they might not even share that much. They just might hold their pain inside because they don't feel safe. And how do we provide that safe space? We listen without needing to respond or give advice or criticize or compare. It's so easy to do those things, especially when it's our partner, because we want to help them feel better. So we might offer advice. But most of us don't want advice. We just need to talk. We need to say how frustrated we are. I mean, I had a situation with my partner yesterday where it had nothing to do with me, but he was so frustrated. And even with the work I've done and what I do to help other people, I wanted to start saying something. I wanted to fix it. And then I stopped and I reminded myself, no, nope, nope, nope. He's not upset with me. This isn't a situation that has to do with me. He is just venting because he's frustrated. Just let him vent. It's okay. And then afterwards, he said, thank you for listening. That really meant a lot to me. But it's not always easy to do that.
No.
And that's in a relationship where both of us have done so much work and so much healing and we communicate pretty well. So you take this to a relationship where people are really struggling and it's very hard, but it's something that's so important to practice. And I remind like all my clients and stuff, remember to be a listening heart. Show up for people. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to fix it. You can just hold space.
Yeah, I know. Just in ours too, it's a really hard adjustment to get used to, not only not reacting, giving that safe place to listen,
Hmm.
but also to not get reactive, yelling and screaming. I've found myself actually sometimes, if I start feeling that kind of reaction, I just say, okay, give me a minute. Let me go for a walk or something, and then we can come back and we can talk about this. But give me a minute so that I don't just blow up. And
Hmm.
sometimes creating those kind of boundaries, it even gets kind of difficult because, again, as fixers, that's what we know. Like, no, no, let's take care of this now. I don't want you to walk
Right.
away. Come back. And it's no, no, just please, it will be okay. Give me 5 minutes. Just let me
Hmm.
recollect. And again, it really does come down to honest, open communication. If you can't have that kind of a connection and communication, like it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, and nothing gets solved in the heat of the moment.
Mm,
Nothing. In fact, things get worse. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but I feel like as a woman, and I know many other women are the same way, we remember those things that are said for the rest of our life.
yep. I get
It's
teased
like,
about having a Rolodex that
yes,
unrolls. Like,
like
don't look in
10
there.
years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago, you said this and it hurt me, right?
Yep, yep.
And so I think it is so important to take that pause so we can respond from a calm place versus react from
Hmm.
an anger, an angry place that doesn't get us anywhere but more hurt.
Yep.
And as I think about it, you were talking about being emotionally honest. I think that's one of the most important things for relationships is it's not always easy to talk about how we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard, especially when maybe something we're feeling we're not super proud of or one of our thoughts. But it's important to be emotionally honest with our partners because when we're keeping things from them, I mean, that's energetically felt in relationships. And it doesn't help us, keep that connection. And as I look back on my first marriage, I realized there was so much that wasn't being said that, I mean, I'm just going to take ownership for my part. There was so much that wasn't being said by me that needed to be said.
Hmm.
And it was that on top of the fact that I had an unhealed heart and really wasn't letting him in.
And I also think being able to sit and name what emotions that we're each feeling
Hmm.
kind of brings it to a whole new level because when you can actually name that feeling, like now you kind of have a place of, well, why am I feeling that? You can easily kind of pinpoint what set that off, or especially if you've had other bad experiences, it makes it a little easier to hold that safe conversation of, well, okay, in my past this has happened, and this is why I might have reacted this way, and I'm sorry I did, but I want you to understand. And I think often as soon as we say, well, in my past, somebody will get explosive. And so we get fearful super fast and we don't want to explain any of what has happened to us. But I think if we can give that safety of, hey, we're here in a relationship, whether it be even a friendship, like, hey, I want you to be able to hold this space with me, to have these kind of conversations. Like I want to be able to come to you as a safe space.
Hmm. Yeah, and when we can get to the point where even if our partner comes to us and they're upset about something related to us, if we don't react and we can just listen, that goes a long ways. Like I've really noticed that in my relationship, like just being able to listen to one another. And, sometimes my partner will come say to me, like, I didn't feel like I was heard. Like I really just wanted you to hear me. And it, I can either get reactive or I can sit back and think to myself, wow, yeah, he's right. And I want to take ownership for that. And it really helps create a lot more connection because there's the trust there in that relationship. But I think trust breaks down in communication and relationships.
So
So,
fast. I think
yeah.
that's one of the easiest things to disappear, to be fair.
I think so too. And I think that's why many of us end up with broken hearts and in divorce. And there's just so much grief that comes with divorce. It's not just the loss of that marriage, it's the loss of the life that you had created. And if there's kids involved, there's a whole nother layer of heartbreak that goes
Every
with
day.
it.
Yeah.
So, with that, like, thinking about relationships and that it's February and Valentine's Day is coming up, like what tips, like what is your number one tip you would give someone that's in navigating a relationship, like that you think would be super helpful for them?
I think it's kind of just important to not just treat February as the month of, hey, we're
Mm.
supposed to show we care about each other. I think we
Yes.
need to do that every day and every month. Like, we need to be able to put value in ourselves and each other. Like, hold these safe conversations, hold these, hey, I'm feeling conversations, or, I'm struggling at work, or whatever is bothering you. Unload your heart together,
Hmm.
conquer the problems, and kind of move forward together as a team.
Yeah. Just staying present
Hmm.
is really important. I mean, we talk about that in the work we do because if we're constantly living in the past or worrying about the future, we're not in the present moment.
Yep,
So stay current in your communication, instead of burying stuff. And that really will help your relationship as you
absolutely.
move forward and try and connect with one another. Yeah, I think that's a great tip. So, with that, do you have any other thoughts?
I guess I would just say, if anyone has issues, sometimes I guess we've been kind of talking a little bit more on the, more positive side of trying to keep it healthy.
Mhm.
Sometimes we can find ourselves in those relationships where we don't feel it's ever going to come out and going to be better. And if you have yourself in that kind of a situation, don't get down on yourself. Don't feel that you have to stay there because, oh, the parents will think this of me, or somebody, my friend won't like it. You have to do what's best for you
Mhm.
as well, and what's going to bring you joy and happiness to your life again. So even if it is something that's failed, like, a failed marriage, like we have talked about, it's not a failure. It's just
Mhm.
a restart. It might be an ugly restart. It might feel horrible to start with, but you can come out of it. It's all in perspective, and like you said, remaining in the present, like day at a time. Sometimes, you know what, find today's chocolate day, go get a chocolate bar, and if that helps you smile, that helps you smile. It's okay, but get yourself to a safe space and remain in that safe space. Don't stay in something that doesn't feel like it's going to last.
Yeah, that's a great reminder that we need to be in relationships that honor us. And what is equally as important is before you step into a new relationship, really do the healing in your heart because you deserve that. And you deserve to have the healthy relationship that I know that you want,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to heal all the pain that's happened in the past first. So reach out for help. Find people you can be emotionally honest with that can just hold space for you. And then you can also reach out to me or Jana. We both have some free resources on our website, and you can find the link to our websites in the show notes. But feel free to reach out. We both would love to have a call with you and just see how we might be able to support you. So, with that, we are sending lots of love to all of you. Remember that February isn't just about romantic love, it's about looking at all the love in your life, and that includes yourself. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
need to love yourself if you want the rest of the relationships to be ones that thrive.
Thanks so much for listening, and everybody, we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.